Since changing the name of the Eclectic Americana Friday morning drive time radio show on January 20th, 1989 to the Bushwhackers Breakfast Club, the DJs in the collective have strived to entertain and inform our listeners. Airing from 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific at KCSE 88.1 FM in Santa Cruz, California, the Bushwhackers usually have 2 interviews a week, each airing for about half an hour. We're not afraid to ask questions or admit that we don't know something, and we don't mind taking deep dives or following a tangent as we get into how sausage is made in local, county, or state politics. Our interviews are not scripted and are co-produced by myself, Dangerous Dan Orange, and Sleepy John Sandage.
On this podcast, the Bushwhackers are interviewing Bruce McPherson, former Secretary of State for California and current Santa Cruz County Supervisor since 2012. This interview aired on November 1st, 2019. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast.
Let's press that, and say good morning. This is KZSC. You're on the air.
Very good. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. We are talking to Santa Cruz County Supervisor Bruce McPherson here on the Bushwhackers Breakfast Club. And that is our first order of business, Bruce. How is it that the last time you called and I mispronounced your last name every time I said it, and I said McPherson, you never, ever corrected me?
Well, that's okay. A lot of people say it. It's McPherson. There's no fear in McPherson. How's that?
That's good. And then I think it was either when Ryan Coonerty or John Leopold called, your county supervisor colleagues there.
Yeah.
One of them said that you recently went to Scotland and kind of got back in touch with your roots. And
I did. Kingussie and Newtonmore. When 30 years ago, we took our son and daughter over there for the clan gathering. It's the first weekend in August, and now we went with the family and our grandchildren. So it was a hoot. I'm not kidding. Those people are just the best people in the world. I love it. And we lost our luggage, and nobody cared. We were in our sweats and T-shirts when people were in these. For one of the opening dinner dance, they have a gala. It's black tie and all that, and we were out there in our sweats and shorts and stuff, and nobody cared. It was great. Everybody loved it. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to go to, and it just feels great.
So I think one of your colleagues said that when you got back from that's when you started emphasizing the correct pronunciation of your name. Is there any truth to that, County Supervisor Bruce McPherson?
Yes, sir. That's pretty much it. And as a matter of fact, in the next board meeting we had, I wore my McPherson tartan kilt. So it's all good. It's all good. But that's right. That's when I said it. Make it McPherson. That's right.
Gotcha. Okay, so last week we spoke with John Leopold, and he brought to our attention what is the name of the act? It was the act that says that you can't talk to more than one colleague about a topic before a meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's a Brown Act.
The Brown Act, right.
You don't want to make a decision, with the majority of your board members or assembly members or senators or whatever before you go in and make the decision. So you can talk in the County Board of Supervisors situation. You can talk to one other about a particular issue that's going to be on the agenda, but you really can't talk in detail to more than one.
That's because there are 5 of you. Now, on the Santa Cruz City Council, where we have 9 council members...
There's 7. There's
7. Okay, so a city council member can talk to 2 other colleagues as long as it's not a majority.
That's correct.
My question last week for John Laird was, do you have a Rolodex of topics, and when you get down to the topic like coastal armoring, you know that you're, or maybe that since you're up, I don't know, maybe that's not something that's relevant to you up in the mountains, but maybe.
Sure. It is.
Okay, so. Do you have a Rolodex where, since you can only talk to one colleague about a topic of substance that might be coming up in front of the County Board of Supervisors, do you keep a Rolodex of, okay, topic A, I'm going to talk to colleague B?
Yeah, I mean, not so much a Rolodex, but yes, we keep track of it, so we know who we talk to, which other board member we talk to on a particular subject. That's correct. Now, we all get the same information, or much of the same information from one source or another. That's okay, but to talk directly about a decision-making process. Like say, we just talked to one other board member.
Okay, so let's pick a topic. Needle exchange. I think it's something that you've been passionate about. I think you wrote a letter the last time this came up. It sounds like it might be coming back. Okay, so which of your supervisors do you talk to about needle exchange?
I've talked to Ryan Coonerty about that, Supervisor Coonerty, the chair of the board right now, about that.
And what are the can we ask what are the two of you discussing?
Sure. Just about the necessity of it all, which was a determination by the board at least 10 years ago or so, I'd say, about needle exchange and the need for it for really public health protections for the general public and not having the spread of some communicable diseases. But the syringe exchange program has gotten to the point where people can come in and say, I want to get so many needles for some other people but myself. And it's kind of it has gotten out of hand, in my opinion. And so we have to balance the necessity for health purposes for the general public, to protect the general public, from the spread of AIDS in particular. That's what was the initial concern when this was put into place in many other places too. But now the spread of needles, and we're finding them in parks and beaches and so forth, and the general public, the non-drug user public, is really in danger too. So we have to have a balance because this is becoming more prevalent, finding needles one place or another. That's a real concern of mine. I know it is of Ryan Coonerty. I know it is of a whole board, but we want to try to find that balance, and we're going to be discussing that, I think, in the next week or two, again at the board.
So
we're going to form the government always forms a committee or commission or whatever, but we want to see how do we get a balance of this of public protection on a health sense, and then a more social sense, shall we say, but it is also health, because if anybody steps on a needle, it can be a serious situation.
So back in the day when there was no needle exchange, the Santa Cruz AIDS Project used to have pairs of people, and my wife Bonnie was one of them, and they wore Bleach Man T-shirts, and one of them had a pickle bucket with bleach water in it, and one of them had new unsealed needles, and people would walk up to them, they'd drop a used needle in the bucket with the bleach water, and they'd take a new needle. This was, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, before needle exchange was legal. So now, when you talk about forming a committee, Bruce, what are you thinking in terms of how do we, if as you say the situation's gotten out of hand, what can we do to try and, well, first of all, allow people to exchange a used needle for a new needle, but as you say, kind of protect everyone or as many people as possible?
Well, I think it's, and we're trying to do this a one-on-one exchange. You bring in one needle, you get one back. And usually, I think people, use a needle, those who are in a serious situation more than a couple times a day. So, but we have to make sure that the amount of needles that are issued are to that particular person. So, they're not, this person that might collect 100 aren't going out to the general public and selling them or, issuing them or trading them for something. Or we just have to be more accountable for who is using what in this situation, or how many. And I want to try to, and everybody does too, the Health Services Agency and all, really wants to get, if we can get a one-on-one contact with the person, that's our best chance to try to treat them in a medical way that can get them off of this situation, which is a long process and not always successful. But if we don't have direct contact with these individuals, we don't have a chance to say, to get them off of this habit, if you will, if we aren't able to see them eye to eye.
Gotcha.
So that's where and it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. And so we're just trying to see how we can do this to the best of our ability. And then there's been an agency that tried to issue them not so long ago, on their own. What was it called? Harm Reduction Committee or something. But that was nixed, or that was, we didn't go for that. They're going to come back and try to do that again. And they have just a bit different thought about it, that the more people need these, and let's give them to them. I just think it's ridiculous that there's just no accountability, in my opinion, if that system should be put into place. But we'll find out when we're going to form this 7-member commission and have them say, okay, how can we have this balance, as I said, of public health necessity for some people and public health protection for others, I guess. Gotcha.
Interesting. Well, let me see. I know we've got people passionate on the topic. It sounds like, you've got opinions, but you're going to form a commission and let them go and do their commission thing and then come back and make recommendations. So
yeah, and this is not going to be a year-long thing. We're going to get to this soon, I think, by the end of the year. We're not going to have this study. I mean, I know it drives people nuts on government fees to form committee. If you have a problem, form a commission and wait a while. But we want to get at this right away, and so I think we'll be able to get at soon, early in the next year for sure.
So we're talking. If you're just joining us, folks, we're talking to Santa Cruz County Supervisor Bruce McPherson. Bruce, what district do you represent, and what does it encompass?
Well, I represent the 5th, supervisorial district. It's primarily the San Lorenzo Valley. The west side of Highway 17, representing probably 80 or 90% of Scotts Valley. And then I have a small portion of the city of Santa Cruz as well, in the Holy Cross area, some along Morrissey on the other, so there's a small portion of the city of Santa Cruz as well.
You represent the Banana Belt?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. Not the Banana Belt so much. Some of it, just a portion of it, but not like Carbonero Estates. That's in the 1st district of John Leopold.
Gotcha. Okay, now let me kind of make sure I understand this. As a county supervisor, it's a full-time job. You got a pretty decent salary, 6 figures. And then we can compare that to the city council, which I believe Micah, an old friend of ours, told Bonnie that if you divide the number of hours by the pay, it ends up being slightly more than minimum wage. Like he said, $13 an hour.
Mm-hmm. That's probably right.
As a county supervisor, you have 2 full-time equivalent staff that work for you. So you could have 4 half-time people, or 2 full-time, or 1 full-time and 2 half-time. What's your staff? Your paid staff?
I have I have 2 full-time staff members. At first, when I was elected in 2012, I had 1 full-time and then 2 half-time. But now I have 2 full-time.
Okay.
But you're right that you have 2 full-time positions.
And you were first elected in 2012. Are there term limits for county supervisors?
No, there's not in Santa Cruz County. There could be in some of the other 57 counties aside from Santa Cruz, but there's no term limits. And usually the term limits and the city council is the same. You can go so many terms, and then you have to wait 2 years, and then you could go back, as some have done. But
gluttons for punishment.
You're
perhaps.
correct. There's no term limits Santa Cruz County supervisors.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the sausage making in terms of the county board of supervisors. Now, when you look around California, and sort of right now, when you see the fires up in Sonoma, down in Santa Maria, down in Simi Valleys, touch wood, knock on wood. We've been blessed this year so far in terms of the KZSE listener area being Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Benito counties. We've been blessed. But are there things that the county is trying to do to kind of get in front of this so that we're more proactive versus reactive when it comes to fires?
Yes, we've we've just getting. It's an educational process about people letting people know right away. Some very simplistic things about as soon as you think or suspect something, let us know or let a fire department know. You are right. We've been blessed that we have not had any big ones. We've had several of them in the 10-acre nature. We have tried to cut back brush along some roadways. In my district, along Graham Hill Road, there's a fire break on Graham Hill Road. We are looking at one on the north side of Lockwood Lane, because if a northerly wind comes in from there, Scotts Valley is gone probably. So we need to get fire breaks. We're looking at there's an issue that's going to be on an all-mail ballot. Now, I hope I don't get too confusing. It's County Service Area 48 is the county fire protection district. Those are in the unincorporated area, the rural unincorporated area outside of the fire districts such as Felton, Zayante, and Van Loman, Boulder Creek. So it's an all-mail ballot that's going to be mailed out soon, and people will, it's a majority vote ballot, and that's to man the state CAL FIRE stations in the low, what we call the low fire season between October and May. So that's very important. So we have people on watch all the time in those 4 stations throughout the rural area of Santa Cruz County. And that vote is going to be taking place as we speak. And so it's an all-mail ballot, and people in the rural area, what it amounts to is probably an average of $150 per parcel. Or per property owner. So, but if people are in that area, that's what that's about. We want to keep that those stations manned because the funding for that service area has gotten very low.
Okay, so this is an all-mail ballot for people who live in rural Santa Cruz County to increase staffing at the CAL FIRE station, so somebody's there all the time. And it amounts to about $150 per property owner per year.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a majority vote.
And when you get, yes, it is a majority vote. And when you get your ballot, it'll pretty much tell you what the cost is going to be for your particular parcel of wherever it may be. Now, this is for the area outside of the cities, the 4 cities in the Santa Cruz County, and outside of the multiple fire districts throughout Santa Cruz County. So it's the rural Santa Cruz. You're right. You're correct in saying that.
So the 4 cities in Santa Cruz County are Watsonville, Capitola, Santa Cruz, and Scotts Valley.
Correct.
Okay. Plus we have some fire districts, I guess, that are in and of themselves, but the rest of the county is in this rural, what'd you say, County Service Area 48.
Correct.
Okay, well, you'll know if you're in it, folks, because you're going to get something in the mail.
Right, and it'll explain how much it'll cost you and what it's about. So, but that's on its way Bruce, as I speak.
Bruce, as a county supervisor, and if you're just joining us, folks, we are talking to Bruce McPherson, 5th District County, Santa Cruz County Supervisor, 5th District. Are you allowed to lobby or state your strong recommendation for something like this rural county service area 48 CAL FIRE amendment parcel tax? Are you allowed to lobby or say whether or not you think this is a good idea?
Yes, I at this time, now that it's on the ballot, I can do that, yes.
Okay, the soapbox is yours. The soapbox is yours. Take it away, Bruce.
Well, I think it's absolutely necessary because it's a protection that we will have literally year round. We have it now, but there's some requirements that you're supposed to have 3 men or 3 fire personnel on a truck. There's equipment that's being needed. They needed some new fire trucks for this county fire system. It's just really critical, I think, that we have for our own public safety. We're talking about the fire protections and all. It's an educational program. We want to have people ready. We want to, and I'm kind of going off from what you asked, but like for the Zayante-Lompico area, we're trying to see if we can work with property owners to get another emergency only escape route from that valley up there in Zayani and Lompico. So that's another thing that I'm working on right now. We're trying to work with property owners so that we have an alternate escape route in the case of a fire only. But that's underway, and we're looking at it as I speak.
So do you know how your colleagues on the Board of Supervisors feel about this county's Service Area 48 parcel tax for CAL FIRE?
Yeah, I think I'm sure that each of them would be supportive of it. I feel certain that would be the case. I mean, Ryan Cooner, for instance, he has Bonnie Doon and some of that area. They have a volunteer fire situation up there, but I think I'm sure that each of the board of supervisors, all 5 members of us, would be supportive of it. You know,
it's funny because we talk about reacting to things, and when we had the homeless shelter, and we've talked about needle exchange and whatnot. This, it sounds like it's just not that exciting, but this is critically important because the arrival of CAL FIRE at a property that is burning, if the faster they get there, the higher the chances we can get it completely under control and not have a catastrophe. So
yeah, that's right. It's we got to be as proactive as we can, or quickly reactive, because you're going to see smoke and then you're going to react. But we got to see it right away. And thank heavens, there was a couple fires. The campfire we had up in the mountains in San Lorenzo Valley, we got that done, and that was, wow. Just happy there weren't any big winds on that one. Mm-hmm. That wasn't caused by any wires or anything. It was an individual that wanted to, had an issue with somebody else, and they tried to blow up a house or something. But anyway, we have had some up in the Paradise Park area opposite Highway 9 that it was put out, and that's once you get everybody's there, there's a cooperative situation among fire departments. These people who service there, boy, when you need them, they're fantastic anytime. But boy, they react and do it quickly, and thank heavens they did on that. And I think that getting that quick and getting the helicopters to come in and all, I mean, it was over $500,000 for that to be done in just a couple of days. But that's how intense the force is to come and put it out. That's how many resources come into it from various fire agencies and personnel throughout. So they're on. It's phenomenal. The great communications network that they have, and they're offering always to, hey, we'll help you because we know we might need your help. These people are great. They really are.
So you mentioned Highway 9, Bruce. I remember a year ago. And folks, if you're just joining us, we're talking to Santa Cruz County Supervisor Bruce McPherson. I think it was a little bit more than a year ago. We had a tragedy. Someone walking on Highway 9 was hit by a car and died. Highway 9 is the artery of the San Lorenzo Valley. What can we do to improve Highway 9 as that transit artery?
Well, I'm really pleased to have we had a Measure D in November of 2016 for transportation, overall transportation, and one of the 2 pockets of special allocations was $10 million to develop a plan for the Highway 9 corridor. And that has been done. It's an inch thick document now. We're not going to be able to widen Highway 9, but on the other hand, for instance, we're between the school and coming into Felton. We have developed an alternate route, and we're really encouraging students to take that, and it goes up to Farmer Street and up in the after you get a couple hundred yards from the school, you go up Grandview Drive, and then you can have a walk or bike there, because there's no room on the shoulders of Highway 9 there. So we're doing that, and we're really encouraging students to do that. It seems like the elementary and junior high students do it, not so much the high school students. So we just got to tell them, hey, take an extra 10 minutes and just go the other way, because we don't want it is literally a tragedy what happened to that young man, and we're just trying to. You can't widen it. There's just nowhere to go unless you took out a bunch of houses. And but the Highway 9, it's a Highway 9 corridor plan, and a big issue of that is to really to alleviate the bottleneck at the schools. We have everybody from elementary, junior high to high school going to San Lorenzo Valley High. And there we can work with the school district, with Caltrans, the county, the Regional Transportation Commission, but we're on the same page. We're getting some things done. This is probably going to take at least 3 or 4 years to get all done when you get into the environmental review and the design and so forth. But we do want to widen that somewhat, get some bus pockets in front of the school, so there can be more through traffic, because it's like a parking lot, in the morning and afternoon school days. That's the big bottleneck, and then there's just some basic improvements. But unfortunately, I just don't see that we're going to have a bike trail up and down Highway 9 from Felton to Boulder Creek. There's just not. There's a cliff on one side and a mountain on the other. But we're going to try to make the improvements and pull outs and so forth as best we can. Highway 9, it's a complicated situation because when you have a state highway being Main Street in your 4 communities up in the valley, it makes for some interesting challenges, shall we say. But we're trying to address those, and there will be improvements as we go along, step by step. The biggest one being in front of the school there just outside of Felton.
4 communities, Highway 9, Boulder Creek, Ben Lomond, Felton. What am I missing?
Brookdale. It's that's the smallest one of 4. But I love it, and just Previn Patel, he stuck with it, and he opened up, I think, 48 rooms there now, and he's got a little mini market there, and he's got a bar, and he hasn't opened up the Babbling Brook or the Brook restaurant, but I think he wants that to do that too. But it's just a classy place. People love coming there; they really do.
Fun.
He stuck with it.
Well, we're talking to Santa Cruz County 5th District Supervisor Bruce McPherson here. We got a minute left. Anything else you want to let people out there in Bushwhacker listener land know about here on KZSE Santa Cruz?
Well, we're working. The big issues are housing, and UCSC has a big part of that, of course, in their growth projections that we have. The homelessness issue, we just really are trying to reach out and do as much as we can. It's something that's everywhere. It seems to just have ballooned the last 5 years, but we have I think we're really trying to work this out as best we can between the city of Santa Cruz and the county, as well as all the other communities as well. But this is not a problem that just came up, yesterday. It seemed to just blown up about 5 years ago. So the homelessness issue is one that really is a real problem, and it's going to need to be a cooperative venture to solve it. And then PG&E. Can't tell you exactly how that's going to be resolved, but there's several aspects of it. People having communications when they have those shutoffs. There's several aspects to it, but God help us if we have like you said earlier, we're so lucky so far, and we just hope people are very cognizant of it. Try to be prepared for any kind of an emergency, and the power shutoffs have been a nightmare for everyone. We're trying to work as best we can with under the circumstances to make this, get this resolved. But I don't know. It's something that you just don't think is going to come on until it's there.
Yep. So we got more that we're going to hit next time: housing, UCSC, homelessness, PG&E. Santa Cruz County Supervisor Bruce McPherson, thank you for joining us here on the Bushwhackers Breakfast Club.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Have a great day. You've been listening to a podcast from an interview on the Bushwhackers Breakfast Club on KZSC 88.1 FM in Santa Cruz, California. This interview was co-produced by myself, Dangerous Dan Orange, and Sleepy John Sandage. Sean Specht helped get this interview into podcast format. KZSC is a student-run college and community non-commercial educational radio station broadcasting from the UC Santa Cruz campus. You can stream KZSC online at kzsc.org. Thanks for listening.